Everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster3, and this is going to be my top 10 horror films from 1989. So, this is just my personal opinion, and if there's any weird noise in the background, that's because the neighbor is a lunatic. Um well, I don't really know what it's up to, but that's not none of my concern. But yeah, about that. That's enough about that. Let's just continue with the top 10 of 1989. So, once again, like I said before, this is just my personal opinion, and your opinion can change from time to time. So, yeah, let's begin right away. And at number 10, we have the slasher film Intruder, which I really love this cover art as well. But such a great slasher film to be released in the late 80s because in the late 80s it seems like the slasher films sort of had already died or they lost their charm, so to say. But this one has some really good gore effects, and I really like some of the camera angles in this one as well. But one thing that really bugs me about this particular release, though, is that it says here on the front Bruce Campbell is in this film, but he's probably in the film for like 10 seconds or 30 seconds, so that's just stupid bullshit. But anyway, I really like the characters in this one, and also Renee Esteves is in this one, who is the sister of Emilio Esteves. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, but anyway, Intruder. If you haven't seen this one, if you like slasher films in general, pick this one up or check this one out. This is really entertaining and some really cool gory scenes. And number 9 is a film which I don't really think needs any more like bigger like introduction or anything, because I think most horror fans probably already know about this film. So, but yeah, the film is The Bride of Reanimator, the sequel to the first one. I still really, I actually think I prefer the first one over the second one, but I think the second one is a pretty damn good sequel. I haven't seen the third one yet, but I'll get to that eventually. I know that's pretty big, like no, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently I think that was like some sort of made for TV film back in, I think it came out 2002 or 3 or something. But anyway, this one really entertaining once again, and yeah, don't really feel the need to say anything else about that because I think most people have already seen that film. And at number 8 we have Warlock. This is a little bit weird because I think most people actually prefer this one, or I think this is the best one, but I actually like the sequel much more than this one, Warlock 2 The Armageddon. But this one is a really entertaining film about this warlock who's like some sort of Satan gesture, I believe, and he gets like banished, and then all of a sudden he comes back to life to claim his powers again in the 1980s. So yeah, pretty interesting storyline, and I think the acting is really good in this one as well, especially from the Warlock himself, Julian Sands. And this also has, what's her name, Laura Singer, who was also in what was that film? I think she was in Footloose, if I'm not completely wrong about that. But anyway, Warlock at number, let's see here, number 8. And at number 7 we have a sequel, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland, which apparently was named after Teenage Wasteland. There's a song by The Who did a film, not a film, but they made a song called Baba O'Reilly, I believe, Baba O'Reilly, and in that song they sing Teenage Wasteland, and that's the reason why they decided to. I think that was some sort of inspiration for why they called it Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland to begin with. But I would say this is not as good as the previous two, but still very entertaining. So I would say part 2 and 3 pretty much go hand in hand, because apparently they were like filmed or like made in the same area and by the same people, sort of. So they pretty much blend into one, I would say. So if you like the second one very much, I definitely think you would like the third one as well. Has some really entertaining, funny kills in it. And once again, I'm a little bit surprised of how good these films are, because in the late 80s, those slashers tend to get a really bad reputation, and I don't really know why. But anyway, Sleepaway Camp 3, Unhappy Campers. I don't really know what to say more about it if you haven't seen the other ones, because I don't want to spoil films. So, the next film at number 6, we have a sci-fi horror film called Moontrap, and in this one, actually, Bruce Campbell has a much bigger role than he had in Intruder. So, this looks pretty damn good for when it was made, I would say. I would say the atmosphere in this movie really is really, really great. Um, and if I remember correctly, there was some really weird robot in this, which was really well made and well built as well for this film. So yeah, just the whole fear of isolation in space and that you're pretty much alone in there and you have no idea what's coming to get you. So yeah, Moontrap, really entertaining film. If you haven't seen this one, check it out. And at number 5 is a film which I rarely hear anyone talk about, and I don't really understand why. Maybe I like this film so much because it sort of reminds me of Fright Night in some weird way, but the film is called Night Visitor. It sort of feels like it takes some inspiration from Fright Night to begin with, because if you just replace the vampire plot with like a Satan worshipper, you get Night Visitor, I would say, because this guy lives, his next door neighbor is basically a satanic or like Satan worshipper, and he sees like this girl who gets sacrificed to Satan by this lunatic, and of course no one believes him, not his friends, not his girlfriend or anything. It just reminds me so much of Fright Night, so maybe that's the reason why I like this so much. I wouldn't say this is as good as Fright Night though. This Fright Night is still the much more superior film, but I still think this is very entertaining, and I wouldn't say the acting is the greatest or anything, but I really like the whole storyline in this one. Maybe that's the reason why I like it so much. So yeah, Night Visitor at number 5. And at number 4 we have a film which I'm not really sure if I should have included this one in this top 10 to begin with, because apparently this film was made in 1986 but didn't get released until 1989. So yeah, but I'll still include it in this list. So yeah, at number 4 we have Hell High, and one of the characters, or like one of the actors in this film, apparently sadly passed away during the I'm not really sure if it was during the making or if it was just slightly after it was made, like finished. He passed away, so that was like when I was thought for to begin with. It was like, okay, this is from 1989. How does that make sense? Because this like actor died in 1986, so that's when I realized it was actually filmed in 1986. So yeah, this is about these pretty much outsiders in this high school. All of the jocks and all of those type of bullies, they sort of pick on them, and they're sort of on this outside, but they still like treat other people like shit. But then again, they've been treated like shit themselves, so I can sort of understand why they act the way they do. I know many people that have seen this film really think the characters are annoying, but I think they are more charming in a way until it gets too far, because the first part of this film feels like a typical 80s comedy film in a way, but the rest of the film, or like the second half of this film, just changes tone like just right away, so it gets really dark. So at that point I don't think I sympathize with these characters anymore. But anyway, that's just what I want to say about that. So it's about these kids that don't really like their teacher that much, so they basically decides to spy on her and like scare her half to death like a prank, and then it goes further and further and further. So but anyway, Hell High at number 4. So if you haven't seen this one, check it out. That's another one which I don't hear a whole lot of people talk about. So yeah. And at number 3 we have yet another sequel, a really great sequel in my opinion. Not as good as the first one, but still a very good sequel. Stepfather Part 2, or not really sure. Yeah, Stepfather 2. Directed by Jeff Burr, who also directed other really entertaining sequels in my opinion. Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Pumpkinhead 2. He also directed Night of the Scarecrow, I believe, which I think I made a review of like years ago. But this one pretty much takes place like, I think is it like 1 year or so after the first one. So if you have seen the first one, you know what I'm talking about, or like how that ending was and how it ended. Some of that doesn't really make that much sense to begin with, but you have to deal with that, and that's nothing that really bothers me that much. I think maybe some people that gets bothered by that, but once again, Terry O'Quinn plays the stepfather. Unfortunately, they made a third Stepfather, and that film is still okay, but it doesn't have Terry O'Quinn in it, which is a little bit of a downer. So, but this one is a really great sequel, and once again, I don't want to talk that much about each and every single film in this list because I don't want to spoil anything for you. So if you haven't seen any of these films before, I just wanted to give you a small little like synopsis of these films. So yeah, anyway, Stepfather 2 at number 3. And let's see here, it's getting a little stuck here. At number 2, we have a film which I think is so damn underrated, and I know most people say, oh, it's too much like Nightmare on Elm Street, but I still really like this film. I don't really know. It's entertaining, stupid fun from time to time, and yeah, I really love this film, and the soundtrack is amazing as well. Wes Craven's Shocker. I actually have, I think it's like 2 different editions of this film. I have this UK release and the Swedish release. The reason why I have 2 is because the Swedish release has such a terrible looking cover art, but this one is just amazing. This cover art here when he sits in like electric chair, and apparently, I mean, it's about this serial killer guy who pretty much gets like sentenced to death, but before he gets put in the chair, he basically makes a deal with Satan to sort of like take his soul or like be able to save his life, and he gets all of this electricity in him and it just gets haywire. So he pretty much comes back to life, and it's up to this high school kid to put him down for good, or like to pretty much kill him off, so to say. So yeah, it has pretty many similarities with A Nightmare on Elm Street, but I still think it's a really entertaining film, and I don't really understand why so many people seem to bash on this one. Maybe because they just want to make that. Now I completely lost track. I don't really understand why, but anyway, it's Shocker at number 2. I've always loved this film ever since the first time I saw it, and I think more people should give it a shot. So yeah, Shocker at number 2. And at number 1 is a film that I've seen so damn many times. I refuse to watch the remake because I don't see any reason why they should have made a remake to begin with. Because I think this film still holds up, and I don't understand still. I mean, when it comes to the movie, when the movies made today, it's just remakes of the remakes and sequels of the sequels. I don't really understand the need to remake a film which is already so good. But now enough about my mumbling here. The number 1 we have Pet Sematary. I also really like the sequel as well. I know pretty many people don't care for that sequel, but I think the sequel is really good as well. But not as good as this one, of course. But yeah, what to say about this film that hasn't already been said? It feels like I've been repeating other people's opinions, and this movie has been talked to death from so many people, so I don't really feel a need to talk that much anymore about this film. But if you have not seen this film, go check it out. I think it's a great 80s horror film in general. So yeah, and if you do love this film, give the second one a shot and see if you like that one as well. I definitely did. Yeah, Pet Sematary at number 1. Also, Pet Sematary 2 is directed by the same person, so which feels a little bit weird because it has such a different tone from the first one. But yeah, enough about my mumbling here. That was my top 10 horror films from 1989. I don't really know what's next. If I should do like the top 10 of the 90s as well, like from 1990 up to 1999. We'll see if that's going to be a possibility in the near future or so. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So anyway, hope everyone enjoyed and didn't get bored, and hope to see you again as soon as possible. So see you next time. Bye bye.